Day 2 in real estate, I got my first listing, which was my first ever squash coach. He basically just said to me, I know you're in real estate now, would you want to sell my house? And I was like, this is easy.
Imagine getting your first listing on your second day in real estate.
And then COVID round 2 happened for me and ended up getting a job offer. Was considering that thoroughly.
He was offered a safe salary job and almost walked away from real estate. What he learnt in that time changed everything for him.
There's a lot of rejection, more rejection than not rejection. So I guess being able to take the no's, which come frequently, and not everyone's wanting to sell their house and all that, it certainly helps.
What do pro athletes understand about real estate that most agents wouldn't? Lance Beddoes breaks it down.
Absolutely. I was a professional squash player for about 8 years. And then I finished up in 2018, was doing a bit of coaching, moved over to America to do full-time coaching over there, professional coaching, and then COVID hit. So I came back to New Zealand after a couple months, and since then been in the game. I knew a few agents through my squash club actually, and had spoken to them kind of during my career, and just thought about what do I want to get into post squash, and I didn't really feel like going to uni for 3 or 4 years, and kind of found out I could do my real estate course in a month or two. So probably easier to get into as well, which helped, as well as, I guess, uncapped potential financially was a bit of a driver as well. So yeah, I was probably pretty lucky. I think day 2 in real estate, I got my first listing, which was my first ever squash coach. And he basically just said to me, I know you're in real estate now, would you want to sell my house? And I was like, this is easy. How good if people just come to you and say, do you want to sell my house? But I got that on the market shortly after I think my second open home ever. I got another listing from that as well. So it kind of started off flying. COVID round 2 happened for me, for everyone, I guess. And that put the brakes on a little bit. A couple months of kind of just sitting at home, and at that stage I had a couple more listings, a couple of really tricky vendors, and ended up getting a job offer, doing sales, but kind of a more set salary. Was considering that thoroughly, and then decided against, and stuck in real estate, and went well from there. I think I started at Harcourt's, and there was a very big team. There was a lot of agents kind of coming and going, and then I ended up making the switch after about 6 months to another company, much smaller company, but agents that had all been in the game for kind of 10 years plus. And I had a great mentor there, and learned a lot of great lessons from him, and I guess watching some of the top real estate trainers in the world as well, and just taking bits from them, similar to how I took my squash career, I guess, as well. Tried to create a great team around myself, and learn from the best out there, I guess. Financially from my squash career, I didn't exactly come out with millions, probably barely hundreds, to be honest. But I was lucky enough to travel the world, meet a whole lot of different people. Squash was pretty much, if you do well in tournaments, you'll make money or more money, and if you don't, then you could be making nothing. So that's very similar to real estate as well. I guess with squash, you're kind of playing tournaments almost every second weekend, probably 20 to 25 per year. So you're losing a lot as well. And I guess within real estate, it's there's a lot of rejection, more rejection than not rejection. So I guess being able to take the no's, which come frequently, and not everyone's wanting to sell their house and all that, it certainly helps. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it's not just appraisals, right? It's if we're having 20 to 40 phone calls every day, a lot of those phone calls, more often than not, are people that are not necessarily looking to sell straight away. So I guess it's the long game, which is similar to trading for squash, where most of it is the training part, where with real estate, most of it is those calls and building relationships and all of that. And then all of a sudden the appraisals and the listing presentations and the auctions and all that, that's kind of more the game part of it in a way. So yeah, plenty of work that is, I guess, for the long term, and not necessarily those rewards straight away translates, directly to real estate as well.
3 agents, all working by themselves until they figured out the secret that could triple their performance?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I was an individual agent for maybe 4.5 years or something like that. And then when we started Beddoes & Co., we were still kind of 3 individual agents. In a way, we would work on listings together. However, I guess just understanding since then who is best for each part of the transaction and sticking to that, which is difficult in a way, or it certainly was when we first begun, because we're all used to doing every part of the transaction, where now it's slightly different, and kind of I'm handling certain conversations and my colleagues are handling other parts of the transaction. But I guess for myself, just understanding what are the parts that the certain bits to each transaction that are really key, and if I could be having more of those conversations, could we be doing better as a whole team? So for myself, that's sticking to the listing presentations, the appraisals, the negotiations for each sale, and I guess updating our vendors throughout the transactions as well. So that's kind of where I'm trying to stick to at the moment.
Lance treats real estate like it's sport. You lose often, you fail often, but you need to get back up. You need to keep on going. Set yourself around good people. Work with a mentor that can push you to be your best.
I think you've got to be able to let go, which is certainly will take time. Let go in terms of what does the ad text look like, the photo orders. Let go in terms of some of those conversations that your colleagues will now be having, for you. It's really key to get the right people, and we've certainly done that. We don't have a big team. Like I said, it's just myself, 2 other agents, and my partner that handles things as well. Essentially having the right people and just letting go and having trust in your agents. I think number 1 would be get a great mentor. I think having that person that you can be accountable to, that's maybe been there before or helped others to get to that spot, has been huge for me. And like I said, when I first moved companies, I had a great mentor, and that worked really well for me. I learned plenty from him. And then going to start my own thing now with Beddoes & Co., I switched that up a little bit and have another great mentor that's kind of guiding me to where I'm wanting to go. So that would be step number 1. Step number 2 would be just setting some bigger goals. And even for myself in the last couple of years, like for real estate compared to squash, I'm doing financially a lot better and living a great life and all that, but there's always more that you can be doing. So I guess for myself in the last 6 months, just setting some slightly bigger goals, and I've plenty of big expenses coming up with a wedding in about 18 months. So plenty of listings and sales are required to make that happen, obviously. But yeah, just having some bigger goals to keep you inspired and motivated to do all the hard work, I guess, every day. Yeah, structure. Number 1 is, and the main thing by far is just structure, just putting it in your calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it's often not achieved. So just ensuring that, my calendar has all the prospecting meetings, or my prospecting becomes a meeting. The same as a listing appointment. I think most people probably it's easiest to skip the prospecting because that's probably the least exciting thing to do, having conversations with people that aren't necessarily wanting to do business then and there, compared to when you're at an appraisal or you're at a listing presentation. So I think just having those booked in your calendar, it makes it, a lot easier. And for us, we have a shared calendar within our team. So we know, we have an office now. I got an office about 6 weeks ago. We know that if we say we're in the office, there could be someone else there and they're expecting you to be there. So yeah, but we all know where we're at with our listings and appraisals and what's going to be coming to the market too. And I guess having that kind of team vibe, no one wants to let anyone else down. No one wants to turn up to the office and say, I've got nothing going on. So I think that alone really helps when some people are in a larger office or a larger team, or, it's easier to kind of just fall to the side and a month could go by, 2 months could go by where potentially you're just in a bit of a slump and you're struggling to get going. But I guess having that, having those meetings and having our WhatsApp chat, going all the time, it just, we're kind of accountable to each other. Mate, it just doesn't happen. And like I said, prospecting is probably the least exciting thing for most people. A lot of tough conversations you're having and people that you're calling that don't necessarily want to transact at that stage. So I completely understand it can get tricky. You can feel defeated some days, but I guess if you've got someone else that's going through that at that stage, or you're able to share some tough conversations with them, if they've been there, in the past, or I guess just another good person that you can chat to, it can help, get you back on the horse and just make another call. Yeah, absolutely. Set a bit of a financial goal, and then we work back from that in terms of how many listings and sales we need each week, each month. We've got at least one person that'll be joining us early next year. That's really exciting. So small growth. We're not trying to create, a big company at all. Maybe 1 to 3 more agents is probably about all we're looking to do. So I guess for me, having the right people is more important than just having a whole lot of agents. But I guess just sticking to these structures that we've created in the last, say, 3 months. And yeah, very excited for the new year. Plenty of listings to come in January. What would I say? That is a great question. Think about your goals. Think about what you truly want. I think having that overarching goal that you're working towards that really drives you, helps you get up each day. But it has to be something pretty significant, and also find a great mentor.